Can you recite it from memory? I got it. All right. I would hope that a wise Latino woman with the richness of her experience would more often than not reach a better conclusion than a white male. And the only reason I keep talking about this is that I'm in politics. And you got to watch what you say because, one, you don't want to offend people you're trying to represent. But do you understand, ma'am, that if I had said anything like that, and my reasoning was that I'm trying to inspire somebody, they would have had my head. Do you understand that?
I do understand how those words could be taken that way, particularly if read in isolation.
Well, I don't know how else you could take that. If Lindsey Graham said that I will make a better senator than X because of my experience as a Caucasian male, makes me better able to represent the people of South Carolina, and my opponent was a minority, it would make national news, and it should. Having said that, I am not going to judge you by that one statement. I just hope you'll appreciate the world in which we live in, that you can say those things, meaning to inspire somebody, and still have a chance to get on the Supreme Court. Others could not remotely come close to that statement and survive. Whether that's right or wrong, I think that's a fact. Does that make sense to you?
It does. And I would hope that we've come in America to the place where we can look at a statement that could be misunderstood and consider it in the context of the person's life.
You know what? If that comes of this hearing, the hearing has been worth it all. That some people deserve a second chance when they misspeak. And you would look at the entire life story to determine whether this is an aberration or just a reflection of your real soul. If that comes from this hearing, then we've probably done the country some good. Now let's talk about the times in which we live in. You're from New York. Have you grown up in New York all your life?
My entire life.
What did September 11th, 2001 mean to you?
It was the most horrific experience of my personal life and the most horrific experience in imagining the pain of the families of victims of that tragedy.
Do you know anything about the group that planned this attack, who they are and what they believe? Have you read anything about them?
I've followed the newspaper accounts. I've read some books in the area, so I believe I have an understanding of that.
What would a woman's life be in their world if they can control a government or a part of the world? What do they have in store for women?
I understand that some of them have indicated that women are not equal to men.
I think that's a very charitable statement. Do you believe that we're at war?
We are, sir. We have tens and thousands of soldiers in the battlefields of Afghanistan and Iraq. We are at war.
Are you familiar with military law much at all? And if you're not, that's okay.
No. I'm thinking because I've never practiced in the area. I've only read the Supreme Court decisions in this area.
Right.
I've obviously examined, by referencing cases, some of the procedures involved in military law, but I'm not personally familiar with military
From
law. I
which-
haven't participated.
I understand. From what you read and what you understand about the enemy that this country faces, do you believe there are people out there right now plotting our destruction?
Given the announcements of certain groups and the messages that have been sent with videotapes, et cetera, announcing that intent, then the answer would be based on that, yes.
Under the law of armed conflict, and this is where I may differ a bit with my colleagues, it is an international concept, the law of armed conflict. Under the law of armed conflict, do you agree with the following statement? That if a person is detained who is properly identified through accepted legal procedures under the law of armed conflict as a part of the enemy force, there is no requirement based on a length of time that they be returned to the battle or released. In other words, if you capture a member of the enemy force, is it your understanding of the law that you have to, at some period of time, let them go back to the fight?
It's difficult to answer that question in the abstract for the reason that I indicated later. I've not been a student of the law of war, other than to...
We'll have another round. I know you'll have a lot of things to do, but try to look at that. Look at that general legal concept. And the legal concept I'm espousing is that under the law of war, Article 5, specifically the Geneva Convention, requires a detaining authority to allow an impartial decision maker to determine the question of status, whether or not you're a member of the enemy force. And see if I'm right about the law, that if that determination is properly had, there is no requirement under the law of armed conflict to release a member of the enemy force that still presents a threat. I would like you to look at that. Now let's
Senator-
talk about, thank you.